Aloha, namaste. This is Radha, and I'm here to talk about our shift of Mercury into Leo. This shift is going to take place kind of for the rest of the summer as he's going to be moving retrograde in this place as well. Leo is the sign of our boldness, our leadership, our authority, our capacity to hold our power. And Mercury is our communication and our manner of discernment and thinking. And when we have Mercury move from Cancer to Leo, it crosses over what we call the Gandanta point, this karmic knot between the fire and the water signs. And the end of the water sign of Cancer, where he is at the moment that I'm making this video, is a Slatia. And this is his own star. Slatia is Mercury, ruled by Mercury. And we see that there's been kind of this, you know, emotionalism that we've been experiencing. We've been processing things through our emotional body. We've been communicating perhaps from more of an emotional place. There can be kind of a needy, clingy quality, particularly in Aslasia. There's this quality of like a serpent wrapping itself around something and squeezing it and holding it tight and having trouble releasing it. So it can, we can feel almost kind of trapped in our thoughts, and our communication can indicate this neediness and this clinginess. And when we move into Leo, it's this shift of like, oh, now I'm in power, now I want to lord over people or be the one in charge. And it can be a very dramatic shift, a dramatic change in our tone and in the way in which we carry ourselves. So we still have a couple planets in Cancer. The sun just moved in. Venus is still there for a little while. So we have some Cancer energy still running also. We might be feeling, particularly with Venus there, we might be feeling kind of, like we're not getting as much as we're giving in our relations with people. And this can add to the quality of us then, instead of just trying to be passive aggressive in our communication to get our needs met, or be overly emotional, we might find ourselves suddenly like domineering or dominating over people when we feel like we're not getting our fair due from the different efforts we're putting in. So this is going to be an interesting time for us, especially because, like I said, he's retrograding in this place, and then he's going to move back into Cancer, back into Aslasia, and then back again into this new place. When we cross the Gandanta, we move into a sign ruled by, or a star ruled by Ketu. And this is the South Node. And this is where we are holding all this past wisdom and knowledge, yet we aren't really as engaged in the world to assimilate it. Magha in particular has this quality of the ancestors. It's ruled by the peach trees. And there's a need to kind of call upon those forces that have come before us to remind us of where we've come from, what our power is, and maybe even some of the mistakes that have been made in the past that we don't want to repeat in our, in our future endeavors. And we move into this authoritative state where we act as though we know things sometimes before we even do. So particularly Mercury can get kind of, quick to speak and say something as though we are an authority on it, even if we aren't. And that chasm between the two, where there isn't a star that guides us into the next zodiac sign, tends to leave a gap in our experience. So it's like we're in this state, and then all of a sudden we're in this other state, and there's nothing that's kind of bridging it for us. And so we end up having to really call upon that old past wisdom and that knowledge and our predecessors in order to find what we're doing here now and where we're going from here. I'm going to take a quick look at the chart just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I have this up for the 19th, the day that Mercury actually makes the move. You can see Venus is still here at 16 degrees. The sun has just moved in. And so that too, the sun is the ruler of Leo and going to be in Cancer. So again, there's this quality of unconditional love and emotionalism through which we're processing our power, even as we decide to use our words in a way that exhibit perhaps more power than we're really feeling. This Mercury is going to move into, let's see, so we get Mercury retrograde Okay, by the 9th, we have Mercury already retrograde. So let's see what this happened. So it looks like maybe on the 4th, he moves into his retrograde August 4th. It's at 7:38 p.m. in Hawaii, so that's going to still be the 4th for Pacific time. As we start to get into later time zones, it's going to end up being on the 5th. That Mercury begins its retrograde cycle, and it's right across from Saturn retrograde. The degrees don't get too close, as we can see, because it only made it to 9:54, and Saturn's at 24:10. But that's going to bring about further hesitation on our part. Once Mercury starts retrograding and building up, and we start stalling and stopping, and our communications aren't going through as we want, we might feel this, we might feel this energy of wanting to say things and wanting to be in that authoritative state, and yet it's not really coming out. It's not manifesting the way we want it to. And then Saturn's drishti is increasing this hesitation and this buildup of internalized fear and having trouble knowing what we're committing to and things like that. We can see Venus has joined at this point as well into Leo, and Venus in Leo has the same quality that Mercury does, where it's a relational sign, so it's going from this place of really wanting connection and Cancer to like, well, I'm going to get my needs met by dominating, by being the one to hold the power and to hold control. And so this combination in Leo can be a little tricky. They're not the best planets here in either Cancer or Leo. When the sun and moon, are in their own signs, they're doing a little bit better here. The moon, especially in Cancer, the sun in Leo, but they do okay in each other's signs as well. But these two relational planets of Mercury and Venus are not as happy here. So we'll see this trend continue. Mercury is retrograde until, well, actually, before he even moves out of retrograde, like I said, he's going to move into Cancer. I think it's the 21st is when he moves in. And so, right, because this is kind of late. So it's going to be on the 21st that he moves back into Cancer. And he's going to continue. Okay, we haven't gotten there yet. Okay, there we go. On the 21st. And then he's going to continue here, moving out of retrograde. Looks like about the 27th that he moves out of retrograde. Or the 28th, excuse me. And then he's at 27 degrees and he'll go forward into Leo again on the 4th. So we have the need to kind of go back to whatever it was that we were feeling emotional about, the way in which we were communicating our vulnerability, the way in which we were communicating our feelings. This is going to come back up for us again, and we're going to have a chance to do a redo with our more dominance and power in Leo. And at this point, it'll be join the sun. So we'll be feeling more empowered as well. We'll be feeling a direct link to source and how we're holding ourselves. And so we might be more successful in our domination communication. And it's not just dominating, it's also like this quality of feeling like we know more than we do. Like, I'm certain about this thing and I can be a leader in this department, whether or not I really know what I'm talking about at all. Often when Mercury's in Leo, we see some qualities of, almost not competition so much. It depends. With Gemini Lugna, you could see that the ruling planet being there, it's the 3rd house. So the competition really comes up. But you can just see this quality of asserting your thoughts, whereas normally Mercury has a little bit more flexibility and openness, and like whatever, we'll take in this river of information and we'll decide what's true and what's not true. And there's a lot of humor and adaptability available. There's not as much of that in Leo. It can be a lot less adaptable and a lot less flexible and a lot more fixed and stubborn. And like, this is how it is. And it is this way because I say it's this way, even if I don't actually really know 100% what I'm talking about. As the sun moves in, that's going to increase because the sun is also really empowered here. And we do feel like we know what we're doing and saying and why we are here and, what our path is and what we're leading towards. And so that confidence will really raise, which will raise for everyone, right? It's not just ourselves that will be feeling that. There'll be that drishti from Saturn still across the way. And of course, the sun's going to hit it a lot sooner than Mercury because of the retrograde situation. So we'll still be feeling some of that beneath the surface, fear building up, and what are we really committing to, and the, you know, all the backlog of things that might go wrong that are still there beneath the surface for us. But the sun will find us in a lot more power at that time. So this is going to be a really interesting transit for us. Let's see, Mercury moves out. Looks like he moves out around the 23rd of September. So basically the rest of the summer, well into September, we have Mercury in Leo with a little stint back in Cancer, just to remind us of that needy quality we have and that desire we have of communication, really to connect with others. And that's the point, right? Is to actually be connecting ideas with other people. But when Mercury's in his own signs or in other places that have perhaps more of that movability and flexibility, we're able to focus on the ideas themselves as opposed to being attached to the outcome of what we say or how somebody's going to react or receive us, which is what really happens in Cancer. And in Leo, that controlling energy turns into one, like I said, that can be kind of, you know, overbearing on something or dominating. So I hope this is helpful. If you want to know what Mercury in Leo means for you specifically, I did a breakdown for all 12 signs for my forecast. I do it weekly for my Patreon group. And this past week, I showed what the sun moving into Cancer, as well as Mercury's transit into Leo means for each of the signs, as well as the full moon that's coming up, Guru Purnima this coming Sunday. So I will be doing a video on that soon. And if you want to find out what Mercury in Leo means for you, go to patreon.com, Radha Home Astrology. Namaste.